Hey everybody! In this video, I'm going to be swatching my entire watercolor collection, which equates to about 39 paints, which doesn't seem like a lot until you're editing all the footage back and trying to get it all to fit into one 10-minute video. Such fun! Before we do anything though, let's have a moment of appreciation for Rose of Ultramarine by Daniel Smith. If you've never heard of the paint before, it's this unique blend of the pigment PV19, which is Quinacridone Rose, and I think sometimes also Violet, with PB29, which is Ultramarine. But it does this crazy thing where the ultramarine separates and floats to the surface. It's kind of indistinct in my swatches, but I hope you can kind of see the little blue flecks in there. It's basically the coolest paint ever. I mean, next to Dioxin Purple. I also recently added Permanent Brown, a rich, non-granulating warm brown, to my collection. I used it heavily in the warmer tan skin tone I had for my recent Spring Queen piece, and it worked really well. Most browns are granulating, which I don't necessarily want in my skin tones. If you know of another good way to build a deeper skin tone using watercolor, please let me know down below in the comments. Okay, so I wanted to create a swatch book of all of my paints, similar to Denise Soden of In Liquid Color. I love the idea of being able to easily compare and contrast colors, and I love being able to see all of my colors organized by the rainbow, which I will try to do with this video, by the way. All the swatches will be alphabetical by brand name, and then sorted by where they are on the rainbow. I currently own paints by Daniel Smith, which we just saw. Currently you're seeing DaVinci. I also have Holbein, M. Graham, Sennelier La Petite student line, and Van Gogh. As you have probably already noticed, I'm also including scans of the dried swatches for comparison, though of course there is some color inaccuracy to be had whether you're taking a video or a photo or scanning. I did try to adjust some of the swatches where necessary. I otherwise did not apply any filters or effects to the scanned swatches, they're just completely raw. These DaVinci paints are pretty new to my collection. If you don't follow Eve Bolt on Facebook and Twitter, I highly suggest you do. She often posts links to awesome deals and specials on paints, which is an absolute godsend when you're building a collection. All my DaVinci paints were purchased on clearance from Curry's, which is like a Canadian art store. I think they're still selling the paints, but I think they're mostly sold out at this point. I do realize this blue and the turquoise before it are super similar. That's the problem with buying paints without being able to really see swatches. You end up with some sort of almost repeats. The scan of this Quinacridone Violet does not do it justice, by the way. This one I had to adjust because it almost scanned this kind of weird pinky red, but as you can see, there's so much more to this shade. There's a lot of pink in the mass tone, but diluted there's this kind of violet-y lavender happening. So pretty. I do have a full review of my Holbein paints on my channel, though I'm sure this footage is way better than in that kind of older review. These swatches are super sped up since there isn't really too much to say. I have picked up neutral tint to add to my collection since originally purchasing my first 4 tubes of Holbein. It is super close to Payne's gray, I know, but it is more of a neutral gray than the bluer Payne's gray. Weirdly enough, their pigments are almost the same. Both are PBK6 and PB15, but Payne's gray has PR122, which is often used in Quinacridone magenta, and neutral tint has PV19, which is often Quinacridone rose or violet. My one and only M. Graham paint is also my current absolute favorite paint in my collection, Dioxin Purple. This is another one where the scan really did not do it justice. This paint is the reason why most of my brushes are stained purple, even though I swear I wash them out with brush soap after painting. Most of my palettes were also stained purple until I learned you can use a polymer eraser to remove stains from plastic palettes. Since I do have a full review of my Sennelier La Petite palette, I've sped up this footage and I didn't really zoom in quite as much. You may notice that there are no pigment numbers on the swatch cards, nor staining or granulation information. That's because I hunted the internet, but I couldn't find any information about those paints other than which are supposed to be transparent and which have a light fastness rating. The color names do have some correlation in regards to the names that they use for their tube paints in their artist line, but I wouldn't want to make the assumption that the La Petite line and the artist grade line use the same pigments. I still really love my Sennelier paints, and I think they're a fantastic, affordable option that is really high quality for a beginner. I do hope to pick up some of their artist grade tubes when I can afford to, but I do have to be careful about which in this particular palette I use, since not all of them have been rated for light fastness. They also claim to be transparent in some cases, but most definitely are not. This is a case where I should have swatched the paints before filling in the swatch card, but unfortunately I did not do that. In regards to the design of the swatch cards I created, I wanted something that feels very simple. The color name is first and in bold with the pigment information nearby, since I do think that's slightly more important information than which brand it belongs to. Below it are 4 boxes. For transparency rating, I either fill in paints as T for transparent, S for semi-transparent or semi-opaque, and O for opaque. For staining information, if there is a numerical rating for how much a paint stains, such as with the Daniel Smith paints, I will put that in, but otherwise it's either Y for yes or N for no. The same goes for granulation. It's either Y for yes or N for no. Lastly, with light fastness, I chose to use Roman numerals with an I, or 1 depending on how you read it, referring to excellent or highest light fastness. 2 I's, or Roman numeral 2, refers to the next step down, very good light fastness. Lowercase nr refers to not rated, which is the case for quite a few of the Sennelier paints. You can create your swatch cards as complicated or simple as you'd like. As you can see from the swatch cards, though I don't show it in the actual video, I have added a strip along the left-hand side for glazing. This shows how the paint layers, which is something important to me since I tend to work with a lot of layers. The black strip down the middle of the swatches is of course to verify the transparency. As mentioned, a few of the Sennelier paints claim to be transparent, but were not. Sometimes it's better to actually see how transparent a paint is instead of trusting what it says on the tube. There's a lot involved in getting to know your paints. I do plan on creating a glazing chart and a mixing chart for my non-Sennelier paints, so look forward to that in the future. I hope to have that video out in a couple of weeks, I think. I find mixing charts really time-consuming to make, but that may just be me personally. In the description box, I'm going to include some links for further reading. I'm going to include my original reviews for the Holbein paints and for the Sennelier paints, but I'm also going to include a couple links to some other YouTubers. Denise of In Liquid Color has a great video on simple swatch cards not unlike these ones, and Sade of Sadie Saves the Day has a far more thorough swatch card template that is also available if you'd rather not make your own. This last color is Naples Yellow Red from Van Gogh, which I picked up for a basic white person skin tone when I first started painting. I've switched to mixing my own skin tone, so this one doesn't really get much use anymore. This is another one that did not scan well. Okay, that's it. That is all my paints. Holy crow, was that an ordeal. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more from me, please subscribe to my channel, and please give it a like too, it really helps me out a ton. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to reach out to me down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye!